Oh yeah, black sun in the hizzle, all for shizzle dizzle. We got an excellent show here today. Let's get right to it. We're gonna get right to it. Um, First article. Let's see. Share screen, and we're gonna go straight down the list. Uh, okay. This one's by RT, and we start off today. Yeah, we're right at 200. Cool. Uh, Luck enough why the world majority sees the Ukraine conflict as a example of declining European and North American power. Most believe ethnic Europeans are colonists, colonialists, and hope to end their stronghold on power. Let's scroll down here a bit. Okay. It's now the fall of 2023, and the Ukraine conflict has become an integral part of the international political and economic landscape. A sensation of hostilities is not expected. Meanwhile, neither a decisive victory for one side nor a compromise peace agreement seems likely in the foreseeable future. The situation remains the most important factor influencing the globe balance of power. Oh, man, what is this doing? Oh, gosh, what is going on? Oh, that's me. My bad, y'all. My bad, y'all. Let me scroll back down here. When the fighting started, it was immediately clear that the relations between Russia and the West were entering an acute phase. But the severity and persistence of the conflict has exceeded expectations. In February 2022, few could have imagined the current level of NATO's military technological support of Ukraine and such a thorough dismantling of all ties between Russia and the Western countries. The predictions of the first phase did not work out for anyone. Moscow misjudged the military, political, and public mood in Ukraine and the willingness of the United States and its allies to go so far in supporting Kiev. The West made the mistakes of assuming that the Russian economic system would not withstand an external blockade, but that the global economy could do without Moscow relatively plainless. Both parties' perception of their own ability to force their adversaries to change course and make concessions did not match reality. The mistake made in the early stages were the results of stereotypes formed early. If we strip away the nuisance, the opponents exaggerated each other's vulnerability and mistook their rivals as paper tigers. This is still partially an element, but more as a figure of speech and propaganda. The game has turned into a protracted process in which each side tries to mobilize its advantages and accumulate decisive superiority in order to escape the stalemate. The intensity of the confrontation between Russia and the West is increasingly, but not its quality. The most significant changes have taken place in the part of the world that is not involved in the conflict, although it is affected by the currently fashionable Russian notion of world majority, which applies to the non Western part of humanity. It is somewhat confusing because it suggests a consolidation community. However, the essence of the majority is its heterogeneity. In contrast to the universal cohesion of values, that the West offers. However, the term does outline the contours, a set of countries that are willing to be drawn into processes that follow the traditional Western politics. The Ukraine crisis is a product of Western political culture to which all the immediate participants belong. Russia, which has adopted an extremely anti Western stance, is also acting, or let's say, is forced to act within the Western military political paradigm. So, in other words, they saying Putin's hands are tied because Putin has come to the table, has came to the Minsk Accords not once but twice, and then it turned out that Angela Merkel and the rest of Europe actually did that to stall. So Putin's like, well, goddamn. I mean, this is what y'all pull. We talked peace talks, we made an agreement, and y'all just it was a whole sham the whole time. Okay, okay. So let's continue on. See, I feel Putin's sentiment, man. That's some ill shit. Let's keep moving. There is also a growing opinion among the world's majority that the influence of those who have long dictated the rules in an international arena, that being the U.S., is waning. In which you look at Africa, you look at Turkey, you look at hell, look at BRICS. Good example. Just look at BRICS. So that said, the long awaited multipolar world has proven more complicated than expected. It is not just about isolated interactions of a few centers of power that somehow communicate with each other, but the emergences of a network of diverse interconnections between actors of different strengths. The links are not very orderly, horizontal, or vertical, and the imbalance of the participants adds to a non-linearity. The Ukrainian crisis has severe practical implications for the majority of the world. Firstly, a power, I would say for the Western world. Well, yeah, for the world because of the grain, right? Okay, we'll give it that. Firstly, a power has emerged that openly and unreservedly challenges the West, and the West has been able to do has been unable to do anything about it despite considerable efforts. This allows the non-Western world to act more and more independently right in front of our eyes. The second is when the states of the global north start to conflict with each other, like who else? Well, Hungary's like the main one. Start to conflict with each other. They still don't care about how it affects the global south. Third, policy of distancing in general, but engaging on specific issues can pay dividends, but we just have to use it skillfully. Fourth, fruitful relations are possible and necessary without grandees who insist on their indispensability, but often do not solve the problem of the countries and regions, but instead drive them into a dead end in pursuit of their own interests. These are all factors that will help shape a new international framework. It has not yet emerged, but when the current conflict comes to an end, whatever the concrete outcome for the immediately participants, it will be the majority countries of the world that will have strengthened their positions the most. Not only China, which is often talked about as the real winner of the confrontation between Russia and the West, such a collusion follows only from a linear logic, but also a number of countries that previously played a subordinate role and are now emancipating themselves and coming out of this straitjacket. Africa being that, like I said, the rest of the EU, And I would say the straitjacket being the American dollar, petrol. We dare to believe that the world politics could become more rational because pragmatic interests would then be voiced openly in a business-like manner and not under the Kool-Aid of various misrims, which have been popular in the global north for centuries. And in the sense, it can be argued that the Ukrainian crisis really does draw a line under colonialism in a broad sense. So basically, they're talking about a paradigm shift. What's going on? What's going on? MD still at work? Oh, no problem, no problem, MD man. And I know, hey, MD's trying to get well, and MD has Starfield, so no problem, bro, man. I'm just going through these articles real quick, man. No, no biggie, no biggie. Um, yeah, like I said, it's just, I mean, this basically this article is something, something that we already know, that the tides are shifting from the Western world, from not only is I mean, when you change the currency, when the petro dollar becomes into form into the new petro currency, like I said, the major blow to the US was Saudi Arabia. And like I said, now that leave now after reading this, the best thing for us to do is get Trump in office so he can save our economy. And by saving our economy, getting him into place to drill, then he's able to lower the rest of the petrol prices around the world. This is what we were trying to explain to Ron. Shout out to Ron. Ron was saying, well, what about OPEC? Well, again, we're the number one customers of OPEC. And so therefore, if we have our own oil and we lower it down, in order for them to remain, us to remain their clients, they would have to lower their prices down to compete with the companies here in the US. I suspect when Trump gets in office, when he starts drilling, like I said, that'll set up the template for us in the long run. I was trying to explain to Ron, it won't happen right away, but because things are clocking in motion for BRICS, we get Trump elected next year, then we can start clocking in, and that way we can head them off at the pass, meaning we setting up everything to drill down the road. So when when BRICS decide, you know what, we want to raise the gas prices, we'll already meet them at the bend, per se. As I'm basically talking about a maybe 5-year to 12-year plan, because within that 5 to 12 years, they can decide to hike it up. But like I said, immediately they won't hike it up. Shout out to MD, because he said, in the short term, it'll go down, but just say in the long term, like I said, it'll go down, but in the long term, eventually it'll go back up. Because like MD, I don't trust, we are talking about foreign countries. We're talking about China, Russia. Now, hell, we're talking about China. So if they're in control, then, as Americans, do y'all really trust them keeping the prices down? Again, so that's why we get Trump in office. We start drilling, and then we'll meet them, like I said. And then once we get our prices, once we get everything set up, refineries, start, getting things in motion, we'll be ready for whatever surprise comes. My surprise, and then NB will agree with me, is a spike in the price. And we're saying they can do that. Hypothetically, they can do that. And so whichever direction they go in, we're prepared for them. In fact, we can set, like I said, we can, like I said, meet them at the pass, because by the time we get the refineries going, we can set our own prices. And that will, like I said, because we are the number one consumers of petrol. We are the number one. I think we're number one. Europe maybe number two. That will allow us to set the standard, the price, because in free market capitalism, it's all about competing, well, who has the, I mean, basically how we look at it as a whole, who's got the lowest prices, who has the better deal, and naturally humans, we as human beings, we always look for the better deal, and the better deal being the lowest gas prices. So therefore, we'll have our companies set up, they'll have their companies, and we start drilling. We can set the price at, I don't know, let's just give or take $2.12 a barrel or whatever. I'm just putting a number out there. Then that means the companies that outside of the U.S., they're like, well, yeah, we still want to mess with the U.S., so we're going to have to match that price or go lower. Either match it or go lower in order to get eyes turned to your direction in your business, as per se, here in the U.S. So even though it's made here in the U.S., you'll still have people still shopping for cheaper gas prices, just like they shop around for cheaper labor. Labor. That's why you have so many companies. But that's a whole nother. I'm not going to get into that right now. We're going to get to the next article. We're not going to delve into the whole how jobs are leaving the U.S., but we will deal with that in another time. So the next article is also from RT. This one reads right here. France calls for EU to escalate information war against Russia. Well, I wonder why. Let me read that again. France calls for EU to escalate information war against Russia. So they want to get the propaganda popped up because Russia is in Niger. Russia is in most of the countries that are uprising and having these coups d'etats against France. So, France, we're going to need some propaganda because Russia is starting to have a stronghold in Africa. But let's read. That's just my analogy. But let's read this real quick. Let's read this. Brussels' aid against EU skepticism is now. This is a analysis piece, I believe. I believe this is just an analysis piece. So we're just going to read this because, again, it's just an opinion piece, but we're going to read this. Again, it's by RT. Brussels' aid against EU skepticism is needed to bring candidate nations into the bloc, French Minister of Europe Laurence Boone has said. Let's see what we got here. The EU should help nations that are applying to join it to counter a Russian influence strategy that cast doubt on the merits of membership. France, Europe Minister Laurence Boone has urged. Speaking to Politico about the EU's discussion on the proposed rapid expansion, the minister claimed that within the states that are seeking accession, there's a lot of disinformation and interference when it comes to how to qualify. Some European officials have insisted that new members must be accepted based on merit. Wednesday's article also noted Russia was seeking to weaken the European Union by discouraging its expansion. Boone claimed Brussels should help in tackling the skeptical voices as much as possible while respecting their sovereignty. Western Balkan states and Ukraine have been identified by EU's leadership as likely to join the bloc in the next wave of expansions. European Council President Charles Michel and the bloc's diplomacy chief, Joseph Borrell, has set 2030 as a year when it should happen. So they're considering to have Ukraine as part of the EU by 2030. Okay. Senior Russian officials have criticized the EU and its member states for the lack of independence for the U.S. From the U.S. European servitility, they argue, has made the Union indistinguishable from NATO in its foreign policy goals, imposing anti Russian economic sanctions and supporting Kiev's goals in the conflict with Moscow's instead of promoting peace talks. Went against core public interests in the West and particularly in Europe that Russian leadership has pointed out. Today's West is steered by people like Joseph Borrell, who divide the world into blooming garden and the jungle, where the latter clearly applies to most of humanity. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said in an interview last month explaining that perceived irrationality of the West's behavior. He was referring to much criticized remark that the top EU diplomat had made last October, contrasting Europe and most of the rest of the world. He later apologized for the metaphor, saying it was not to intend to sound colonialist and racist as had been perceived in many nations. Officials in Brussels have touted the Ukrainian crisis as a unifying moment for the bloc, which is historically prone to international squabbles, and have claimed that paying the price of decoupling from the Russian economy was the price that member states had to pay, like that oil, like that cheap oil. That was the price y'all had to pay, giving up that cheap oil. But we get it. We get it. You guys are bypassing, instead of buying from Russia directly, you're buying it now from Turkey. I wonder how much of a tax Turkey's putting on that oil. So it ain't so cheap no more, but at least you're still getting it. At least you'll still get it for the winter. It's not as cheap though, but at least you're still getting it. Just you got a third man. You got a third wheel. You got a middleman. Erdogan is the middleman now. So so Erdogan's having a good time. He just skimming off the top. Like I said, I discussed that before. So yeah, I've said in past shows that Russia's going to freeze, and I believe I said France and all that. They're not going to freeze. They're still getting the oil through Erdogan, through Turkey, and through India and Turkey. They're paying a little bit more, but they still getting the oil. Whereas if they make peace with Putin, they could just get it direct and cheaply. But hey, that's the article said, that's the price that you pay. That is the price that you pay. You got to look hard. You got to say, bad Putin. Erdogan, can you send us some Putin's petrol? I know we got to pay a little bit more. Prime Minister of India, can we get some of that oil? We need some of that oil. So yeah, we get it. Y'all got to pay a little bit more to look hard instead of just working with Putin. But I get it. We got overlords in England. We got overlords in the United States. This is no, you can't do business with Russia. You can do it indirectly through, Turkey and India, which we know what y'all are doing, but directly, no, it's not a good look if you buy directly from Putin. It's not a good look. So you got to do it indirectly, it's a safe face. All right, y'all. Final article. Like I said, it's not going to take too long. And let's present the last article. So we talk about the price to pay, right? We're talking about, the cheap oil, how, Europe and England, how that cheap oil, like basically there's a price to pay. So let's see how the economy is holding up. And not only is it England's economy, how they're hurting the most, because they're the most, they're the most pro-war. But let's see why. Let's see why they so pro-war. This is by, again, RT. UK's second largest city declares bankruptcy. Any new spending, except mandatory services such as protection of valuable people, has been ceased in Birmingham. Birmingham being the largest second city in the UK. Birmingham, largest metropolitan area in the UK outside of London, has effectively declared itself bankrupt after its city council shut down all non essential spendings following an equal pay settlement bill that could be high as 956 million. In a statement on Tuesday declaring itself in financial distress, Birmingham City Council said it will tighten the spend controls already in place and appoint an external administration to oversee short term fiscal planning. Again, this is why I always tell, see, MD already knows this. I always tell Ron, it starts with the gas, then it shuffles on over to the food, then it shuffles on to other, property tax, and next thing you know, there's major inflation, and England is our cousins. So it sounds like yeah, it's going to hit London, and if it hits London, it's going to hit the US. Oh yes, we're going to be in a. They're not calling it. They're trying so hard not to call it a recession because they don't want Biden to look bad. It's right before election season. We don't want to say the R word. They don't want to say the R word, but it's coming. But people already know. We're not stupid. Let's keep it moving. In June, the council announced it had a potentially liability related to equal pay claims in the region of 650 million to 760 million. That's 860 million to 956 million, with an ongoing liability that is occurring at the rate of 5 million to 14 million, which is in our money 6.3 million and about to 17.5 million per month, the statement said. It added that the council does not have the resources to pay the outstanding sum of its committed to dealing with the financial situation. The body also said that all new spending is to be ceased, except support to vulnerable people and the various statutory services. The settlement bill stems from a 2012 Supreme Court ruling in favor of predominantly female Birmingham City Council employees who complained that bonus scheme payments had been mainly issued to the staff in roles primarily occupied by men. On Tuesday, Deputy Council Leader Sharon Thompson said that the labor run organization is facing longstanding issues, including the council's historic equal pay liability concerns. She added that the council had 1 billion, which is 1.25 billion in funding taken away by successive conservative governments. A spokesperson for UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak responded that clearly it's for locally elected councils to manage their own budgets. Sunak office added that the Downing Street had expressed concerns about their governance arrangements and has requested assurance from the leader of the council about the best use of taxpayers' money. The budget cuts could affect services that the council is not bound by law to maintain, including libraries and cultural projects and the maintenance of roads and parks. The dire financial situation could also impact the 2026 European Athletic Championships, which are due to take place at Birmingham's Alexander Stadium. So, yeah, basically what we have there is recession setting in. The goals of Ukraine war that they pushed are starting to drain the local economy because that's who it's going to affect first. It's going to affect the people, just the working class people. And well, I mean, we're already feeling it here in the U.S. and they wonder why the polls for Trump is going up because now people. I got to shift this over to America, y'all, because yeah, you know, I know this is the arena abroad, but I'm gonna say this in a relatable way. They talk about, oh, Trump, he's got an indictment, and oh, he tried to overturn the election, and oh, he tried to do this and that, and are like, people are like, you know, and with the mugshot, people are like, um, Biden got my wallet's looking empty here. And I remember when Trump was in office, I had a fat wallet. My wallet was fat. That's all people are concerned about. People know they're like, you know, fake news media's like, no, 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 no. Trump is getting indicted, y'all. Oh yeah, Trump, the guy that had my wallet's fat. I'm just talking black people. I'm talking black people now because somehow black people got the MO. Wait a minute, I don't like Trump, but yeah, my wallet was a lot fatter. And now my wallets are empty. This whole term that Biden's been in office, my wallets have been empty. And so the people in the UK are feeling the same strain because a lot of people in the UK are against the war. They're like, why are we supporting? But we got to take her home. We got to take her home first. And so, yeah, I'm just using us because, yeah, it affects us too. Because everybody in the EU is on board with the Ukraine war, and the Ukraine war is draining them. That's the price to pay, like I read in the last article. What is the price to pay? Do we pay the price of having a recession? Well, we will see because, and that's why Trump's poll numbers are going up because, like, Mr. Biden, no, we don't want to support Ukraine. It's not a good idea. The people have spoken. In fact, we want Trump. And not only do we want Trump, but the prime minister of Hungary said, we need Trump back because he knows that Trump, because not only did we hear it, y'all, did we hear when Trump said he will end the war in 24 hours. You know, the people in Europe heard that too. The people in Europe heard that too. And that's why the people in Europe are like, people in America, vote for Trump. They're basically saying, call Trump back. Because when Biden fucked up, he basically fucked up not only our economy, he fucked up their economy. And people around the world, and here in the US, and in UK, France, Belgium, are not happy. Like I said, our wallets are looking quite empty. And again, Europe, and you know, I've joked around, Europe, they're still getting oil, but they're paying a little bit more through Turkey and India. They're paying just a little more, but they're empty. They're not going to freeze. I know I've joked around and said, you know, Germany's going to freeze and France is going to freeze. No, they're just going to pay a little bit more. They're going to stuff Erdogan's pocket to get that Russian petroleum. So they just got a middleman. That's all. But that's the price to pay to look hard. That's the price to pay to say, yeah, Russia, take that, Russia. And Putin's like, yeah, okay. I'm still getting paid. Our economy is still growing. Sanctions, yeah, right. Yeah, okay, sure, yeah. In other words, y'all need a middleman and y'all paying more, but I'm the one under sanctions. But you guys are paying the price because y'all want to look hard. So with that being said, y'all, that's it, man. Hey, get well, MD, man. Like I said, it wasn't a long show. I just wanted to show the progress, economic progress internationally, man, and how it relates to not only people here, the polls going up here that we want Trump back in office, but people internationally want Trump back in office. Oh, would you look at that? And again, MD, those are your people. The people in the people in NATO, those are your folks. One of your folks is saying, man, we need Trump. Call Trump back. Oh, also the damn Ukrainian prosecution, the one that Biden had fired. Yeah, he was saying call Trump back too. So you got Hungary and you got somebody from Kiev from damn Ukraine saying, yeah, bring Trump back. I'm pretty sure, and I hope they don't take and run with this. I'm pretty sure Putin is like, yeah, we need that election, man. We need Trump back. Because this war is really stupid, man. Biden is so fucking stupid. He just don't know when to goddamn quit. They sent Anthony Blinken over there to just give Ukraine more money. For what? For what? They did not break the line of defense. I know the fake news, the Washington Post saying they broke the line of defense. No, they didn't. They did not break the line of defense. No, they didn't. Because the Russians are waiting for them to break the line of defense. But they can't even make it to the line of defense. I guess they call the buffer zone the line of defense, but no, they didn't break the real line of defense. So, and MD was like, yeah, we need to go gunfight because we don't know what's going on. And I get it, MD. I get it. We're not over there. But I have contacts, just like Colonel Gregor, just like, Colonel Gregor got contacts, military. And so does goddamn John Ritter. Now, John Ritter was over in Russia during the whole Reagan administration, so he got contacts. That's why they would talk so much confidence. They're not like these goddamn people who lie and say, oh, Biden, oh, yeah, Russia, they're losing, we're winning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But in one breath, they say, oh, we're winning. But in the next breath, they lie on themselves. So that's how I know, MD, because they've lied on themselves. I've heard the Pentagon said, well, we need like extra, weapons. They tell on themselves. You can tell, all you got to do is pay attention. You can tell that they contradict themselves. They contradict their own lie that they're winning in Ukraine. But hey, we're not there. Hey, we're not there. Like MD said, we're not there. We can let's do a GoFundMe so we can go over there. But I know when a person's lying. I can know when a person's double back on what they're saying. Again, this is the same source that brought us Russia. Yeah, Russia's in cahoots with Putin, but hey, that Donald Trump's in cahoots with Russia. But hey, what do I know? All right, y'all. I want to thank y'all for coming out. Thank you, MD, for showing up, man, in the chat, man. With that being said, man, we might do a live tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Then Saturday, we might do something. So with that being said, y'all, we are out and y'all take it easy. Peace, y'all.